people may not have thought about, and something that that really helps kids. Kind of tell everybody exactly what a music therapist does and what you do.
So basically what a music therapist does in a hospital is they're using music to help people cope with their hospitalization. So we're addressing goals that we're not teaching music, we're using it to help decrease anxiety, especially for kids, help them get through a procedure by refocusing their attention or providing something that's comfortable and familiar to them in an environment that is totally foreign and sometimes scary.
Now, how was the need for music therapy determined here at All Children's?
Well, there's a lot of research that backs up what we do when using specific techniques to help decrease anxiety, decrease agitation. And when we can do that, we can actually help to get these kids better faster and sometimes with less medication. Sometimes it's just a quality thing where you can physically get better with medicine, but you can also emotionally start healing, and you can do family support, and you can really address the psychosocial part of it as well as the physical part.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of people never wouldn't even thought about that.
It's true.
Now, how is a music therapist different from a music volunteer or maybe even a performer that would come in for the kids?
So performers are wonderful and volunteers are amazing, and we love them all. But usually what they end up doing is they do the music they like doing.
Oh, okay.
Which is great. We have volunteers in the lobby all the time. But what music therapists do is they actually use patient preferred music. So if the kid likes reggae, we do reggae. If they like country, we do country. If they like Frozen songs, we do Frozen songs. And that actually has been shown to help these kids relate better, and adults relate better, and we get more done. We can build rapport faster. We can work on goals better. So we're actually trained to use certain components in the music to address the goals that we're working on.
So as a music therapist, you have to be an incredibly talented musician.
You got to know a lot.
You got to know a lot to be, you can't just be, your genre is country.
Nope.
But that kid likes pop, or that kid likes reggae, like you said.
Exactly.
You're like, sorry, can't help you. But you can just jump right into any genre at any time, huh?
That's the goal. I've been doing it for quite a few years, so I have a pretty variety of
That's
repertoire.
Impressive. That is very impressive, because not everybody can do that. What does a music, for the babies that are in the NICU, do you also, because I would imagine that they've developed a music taste yet. So what is there maybe they have. I like rock.
Right.
Metalhead
Usually
babies
not
in the
metal,
NICU. Yeah.
but you never know.
Something, something a little heavier.
Right.
So how do you and I wouldn't even thought of that you would be a music therapist for a baby in the NICU, but how do they respond?
So one of the things that we're doing, part of the patient-preferred music is, whether it's babies or adults, we're actually taking certain parts of the music and using those to accomplish goals. So you probably notice that there's certain songs that make you a little happier, or maybe just kind of a little more mellow, and there are components in each song that you can use like that. So for example, with babies, lullabies they're created with specific things, a certain type of melody. They're very slow.
Certain
Sometimes
key.
they're a waltz. Yep, they can be in certain keys.
Yeah.
And so we're actually using songs like that, whether they're familiar lullabies or if we turn a song into a lullaby. I had a mom who didn't really know a ton of lullabies, but she really liked Bruno Mars. So we took some Bruno Mars songs and turned them into lullabies.
Like which songs did you use?
We did Count on Me.
I was going to say, can you make Uptown Funk? Can you make that into a lullaby?
I haven't tried yet, but I could
Give it a
probably
shot.
make it work.
If anybody can, Kelly, you can.
That's my next project. I'll get there next year.
Like we just said, I would imagine that the majority of the things that you would play in the NICU, or even for any of the other kids, and this is probably a little off center for some people, but you probably do most of them in a major key. You wouldn't play a lot of minor key stuff, more positive sounding phrasing and stuff like that.
It kind of depends on the kid and the need at that time. As you said, we currently have quite a few kids that are in our cancer unit. So if
21
they're having, 21. So if they're having a bad day, if I walk in there and I play something happy and upbeat and do the happy song from that movie, if I come in and play that, if you were in their shoes, that might not it's not really helpful. It's kind of saying, hey, I know you're really sad, but here, let's do something happy and everything's better. It's
And you're
really
just- and
actually
you're still
better to
kinda like,
meet them. Right.
yeah.
So if I come in and say, hey, I know you're having a bad day and I know you really like this song and it's kind of sad, but if that's what you want to do, let's start there.
So you really do whatever they want to hear. What it's kind of like Chef Joe. You know, that's it's catering to the kids. I mean, if they want a specific something to eat, he's going to make sure that they get it.
That's what they need.
They want to hear a specific song. You're going to make sure that they get it. That is so awesome. Now, what now, do you do? Group therapy or do you do singular therapy?
It's mostly individual because of our setting here. It's an amazing thing when we can have a group. I mean, a month ago we had a group on our cancer unit that just so happened there were a couple people in the hallway and maybe we gathered all
nice.
together. We actually got to do a really fun group session with like some 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds, but that it can't always be planned because we don't know who can leave their room at what time
yeah.
or whose doctor's there. So it's a little harder, but it's actually a really good thing because that also promotes socialization, which we can sometimes do in the hospital, but it's really easy to facilitate when
Sure.
we're all in one place.
Yeah.
So when that can happen, absolutely we'll do it. If it can't happen, it's one-on-one.
That is so cool. Now, when you do they have to schedule a time with you, or do you come in and say, or they say, or somebody come to you and say, no, this kid could really use some music therapy, or?
A lot of people make referrals. Anyone can actually make a referral. It's family, it's staff, it's physicians. They all basically what they say is, hey, I noticed this about a kid. I noticed they're nervous when people walk in the room, or I noticed they're not coping well with a procedure like a port placement or a port access or something like that. So anyone can make a referral, and then what I do is I go and assess them and determine therapeutically what they need. So if they need to be seen once a week, if they need to be seen every other day, that's something I'm looking at and saying, all right, well, maybe they'd benefit from a volunteer coming in and just playing for them. Maybe they just really like music.
Right.
And that's not bad, but that's not necessarily a therapeutic need. So I might see them once a week and send volunteers to them as often as I can.
Oh.
But then there's some other kids that maybe need a little more frequently than that, especially the babies that we have in the NICU. Sometimes they need daily. So if I can get there daily, there's currently only one of me. So
Yeah.
I go as many places as I can.
So are you the only music therapist here at All Children's?
For right now.
Oh, wow. And that's the other thing that we were talking about earlier. Your position is funded through philanthropy.
Yes, it's amazing.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So we are incredibly blessed. We have a specific endowment for music therapy. So we don't have to do grant writing and things like that. We just get to provide for the kids. So that's something that's, it's not always common, but we're really blessed to have that here because we get a full-time position and we don't have to worry, do we have music therapy next year or
Right.
whatever. It's just set.
So is there plans for adding more music therapists at All Children's?
We would
and
like
is the
to
funding
start,
there?
The funding currently isn't there for another full-time position. We're working on our options for that, and just to we're always open to that option, but it hasn't quite worked out yet. One thing we are pursuing is we're looking to start our internship soon.
Oh.
So in order to be a music therapist, you have to do all of your coursework plus a 6-month internship. So All Children's would be an approved site to have that intern for their
That's
6
cool.
months before they get board certified.
I'm a huge fan of internships. And any whatever you're going into, if it's possible to get an internship, that's how I learned the majority of my
Right.
radio stuff.
It's required
Yeah,
for all of
I went to
us.
college and I did all that stuff, but when I got my internship is when I
Totally
learned
different.
everything.
Yep.
So, what is an example of a typical session? And what does it look like? What does it sound like? Tell me, like when you walk into the room, hey.
Well, when I walk in, basically when I walk in is when I get to assess, all right, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I walk in there and the kid's like, oh, you're here, and we get to jam out and have
Yeah.
all sorts of fun. And then other times I walk in and they're laying in bed cringing in pain.
Ugh.
So I'm not going to be doing the same things that day as
Right.
maybe the day before. So I'll go in and I'll assess it. So the session I just came from, I had a little one who was like running around her room and going all sorts of crazy. So we did some really fun songs and I gave her instruments and we got to play and mom got to be a part of it. And we just had a lot of fun because she gets a little nervous
Yeah.
when people come in her room.
Sure.
So for someone to come in and do something that's actually really fun, it helps to decrease that anxiety each time someone has to come in because people have to come in. You're in the hospital.
So how somebody walks through the door, all they relate to it is like, oh God, this is going to hurt. This is going to suck. I hate
What are you
this. I
gonna
hate
do
this.
to
What are you
me?
going to do to me?
Yeah.
You come in and you got your guitar and you got your fun stuff. So that makes it so every time somebody walks in, they don't get anxious.
It decreases that anxiety a bit.
What a great idea. I mean, why didn't anybody think of that forever ago? Fantastic. That is awesome. Now, tell me a little bit about your background, what kind of education you have to have if somebody's listening and going, oh my God, that would be perfect for me. How do I do that?
So in order to be a music therapist, you have to actually get a degree in music therapy. It's a bachelor's or a master's level, but there are quite a few approved websites in our country and internationally. But you go and you do your coursework, which requires you to do practicum. If you don't already know how, you get taught how to play guitar, how to play piano, and how to sing, because all of us have to be able to do that.
Right.
So you start getting trained in that. If you already know some of it, that's a help, but you have to learn to a certain level of those skills. On top of that, once you finish your coursework, like I said, you do a 6-month internship. And then after that, you take a board certification exam, which is comprehensive from your last 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And once you pass that, you get the credentials MTBC, or music therapist, board certified.
Nice.
And then you can practice.
So when you say, would this basically be like an online degree, or is there, what schools would you recommend, or do you know?
If you have a bachelor's in music therapy, you can do your master's. There's certain degree programs that are partially online, but like you said, with internships, hands-on is where you learn a lot.
That's so true.
So you can't just do stuff online and then become a music therapist. It's actually, you have to do in the classroom setting, you have to learn a lot of this stuff, then you have to apply it in your practicums, and then you learn way more in your internship at the end.
Yeah.
So I went to school in North Carolina at Appalachian State University. I love that place. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But there are a couple programs that are in Florida too. There's one in Miami. There's one at FSU. There's a bachelor's level one getting started at Gulf Coast University.
Oh, they're here. Florida Gulf Coast people are here.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Kelly, thank you so much for taking the time and coming back down and seeing
Good
us
to
again
see you
this year.
again.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't say enough about it because, being a musician and I don't know, there's no way that I could do what you do because you're way more talented than I am, and you probably know like arpeggios and scales that I could never play. And I'm a drummer, so it's just easy to.
I can't do what you do.
Oh, that's easy. Became a drummer because it's easy.
Feet and hands, I can't do.
Yeah, once you figure out how to do all that, then it's so easy. But everything that you do it's awesome. Kelly, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Music therapist here at All Children's Hospital. She's great.